My name's Chrissy Pepper. I work for the Diocese of Hereford as a Church and Society Link Officer, and I work across a whole lot of different issues which are very pertinent to our area and our county. And part of that, I coordinate and chair the Homelessness Forum in Hereford. And that role is really all about bringing together the different groups who are out there doing wonderful work to support people who are finding themselves homeless or on the verge of homelessness. So that can be including the hot food networks and the night shelter, as well as the statutory organisations, the local authority and the housing officers who are connected, and housing associations. A whole lot of different groups meet together in order to make sure that we're working in the same way and for the benefit of those people who may become homeless. There's always ways we could try and improve that, and we're always trying to do that. But at the heart of it is about trying to coordinate those things together so that people who may be at risk of homelessness are able to remain in a home, or those who are finding themselves homeless can find a decent home.
What is going on around Hereford? I'll be doing my best. I've been here 8 months now, so I've been learning very quickly, and I'll hand over to Chrissy here at the moment as well, to share from her. Oh, hello. That's a good start, isn't it? This was a new battery. Hello.
You have to switch it off, guys.
No? Hello, hello. Yeah. Oh, it's come back. Look at that. It's like a miracle. Look at that. The issue of homelessness obviously isn't something that's new. It's been around for a long time, and the poor have obviously always been around. It's interesting if you look over there to what a former vicar here did back in the 19th century. He did an awful lot of work for the poor in Hereford and established an awful lot of buildings to try and make their life better. And it kind of feels like in this age of austerity that we're in, we're a little bit there again. What can we do to enhance what's already happening and ensure that the right provision is getting to the right people? That seems to be the key. So I'm going to hand over to Chrissy, who's just going to fill in a little bit of a kind of broader picture of what's going on, and then I'll fill in whatever blanks we've got.
Good afternoon. As introduced, my name is Chrissy Pepper. I work for the Diocese of Hereford as Church and Society Link Officer, and as part of my role I currently chair the Homelessness Forum for Herefordshire. That's a forum made up of statutory, community, faith and voluntary sector organisations who all have a link into working or supporting with people either to prevent homelessness or to support them if they become homeless. So that forum meets bi-monthly, every other month, on the same time and place here in St Peter's. St Peter's has got a long, historic, wonderful heritage of working with those who are really on the margins and in very difficult places. So it's great that they're able to host the Homelessness Forum and to have events like this where we can gather together and look at how we can better support people. Now, as the Homelessness Forum, I don't directly deliver any services, I'll put that out there now, but what I do is try and coordinate that forum so people can come and meet together, and we can work on some of the things that the statutory agencies, so that's our local authority, they have legal duties, but they also have prevention and support services that they put into working with the homeless. So they sit on the Homelessness Forum, and alongside that we have people from our hot food networks and also from the food bank, for example. And so I've been involved with sort of networking, if you like, all those different groups. And there's been some amazing work over the years in trying our best to support some people who find themselves in those really tough, difficult situations. And it's always been pointed out to me, and I'm a social worker by profession, that we're only 2 or 3 decisions or steps away from being homeless ourselves. And it's not the archetype or somebody who's persistently if you like, street homeless, but there are families, there are professionals, there are all sorts of people who can find themselves in that situation. And I think it's really important we don't stigmatise or don't judge or don't, because we too could be there, couldn't we? Okay, so I'm not sure whether there's any questions you want to ask me about Homelessness Forum and the role of that and how we try and coordinate. At the moment, there is a strategic plan that the local authority holds and everybody inputs into about how we can tackle homelessness and prevent it as well. And that's a really important part because there's a new act as well coming out in April. I think it's being implemented. I see a nod over there. And that will ensure that we are all working together, and there will be some statutory duties for the local authority as well as for everybody to join in with around preventing homelessness. And that means that there will be more opportunity, more time to intervene and try and divert that from happening, because we know that once people are out on the streets, it is much harder to get them back into settled accommodation. And anybody who works with homeless people will know that that is a really, you want to prevent that if at all possible. So there are lots of agencies who are currently working to that agenda, and I just want to reassure people that you may not see it evidentially out on the streets, but behind the scenes and in what people are doing, there is a lot going on, and the forum has been a great place for people being able to bring those plans and coordinate those things together. Doesn't mean to say we couldn't do it better, because I'm sure we could, and we only talked at our last meeting, perhaps communicating better, and we're going to be looking at having a little working group who are going to be looking at communicating out to the public more. We don't generally have a public face as a forum because it's the sort of people, we don't want to face up, if you like, people who don't perhaps want to be shown around that they're homeless. It can be very impacting on somebody's self-esteem and their sense of self-worth. We don't want to be hanging people out there saying, we're working with these, we're the good and worthy doing that. So we try and take a bit more of a strategic back step, but I also understand that it's quite helpful sometimes to communicate better what we do, and the fact that things are going on, because if people don't know, then you assume nothing's happening when in fact, there is a lot happening already. So that's something we're learning and we're going to be trying to address. And also, perhaps a little bit more of a strategic approach. We talked about that, about maybe looking at trying to draw in the threads of other people who might be doing other stuff out there that we aren't currently interacting with or working with in an inclusive way, and trying to make sure that all that we're doing is working to the best evidence practice, shall I say. So we know from research and evidence from other places what works best, and so we want to try and do the best we can in how we're working. That's probably enough, isn't it? I've rattled on a bit. I didn't have any notes, so it's here, there, and everywhere. Is that okay?
No, that's brilliant. Thank you. So that's giving a good idea of what's happening. At the kind of minor detail level, there's many agencies out there who are working at that level of supporting and providing supporting housing particularly. And every week there is a hot food provision, so that every day we make sure somebody somewhere in this city is providing hot food for people as well, that they can go to if they need to. And obviously we've got the work of the food bank and various other things as well going on in Hereford. So that's a kind of snapshot of some of the things that are happening, some of the directions and learning that's been happening over the last month in particular as well. So I'll say over to you guys. This was a public forum, which means you are invited to partake in it and share your feelings as well. Thanks.
Mike Truelove from the Hereford Business Improvement District. Question for Chrissy, if I may. What is the scale of the problem in the city centre and the rest of the county at this moment in time, and how many people are actually homeless?
It depends if you want the official statistics. The official statistics, I think we think we've got around, I think it's about a dozen persistent longer term out on the people who are living out on the streets, and that it's quite hard to bring them in. There may be some who are on that edge of homelessness. You know, when we get the stats every quarter through the local authority, people who've been prevented, who've nearly got to that line, but you know, they managed to intervene and prevent, so we get a picture of that. And then there's the response that the local authority gives us for whether they're priority in terms of housing or whether they aren't at that level of priority. But that will change with the new act that's coming out in April, because everybody then will have a plan about what supports they will get and what will be happening to try and prevent them becoming homeless. And the person who's at the centre of that will also have a big part in that plan. That's really important. So officially, those statistics may look relatively small, but what I can tell you is that there is a large amount of hidden homeless and people living in what we would call sort of vulnerable tenancies, where they could easily be out on the street quite quickly, or inappropriate accommodation. You know, I've had contact with a lady who's living in a place which should have been an office at one time. It's mouldy, it's not good, but she isn't a priority. She's not going to get housing anywhere else, and she's finding it quite depressing and difficult to live where she is. She can't see a way out, and you know, she can't afford a way out. And with the changes in the benefit systems and the caps and the local housing allowance that's dropped out, it doesn't match up anymore. So, you know, what rents cost if people are doing private tenancies and what is available to them if they're on a level of benefits doesn't often meet, so people can find themselves in very difficult places. And organisations like housing associations have a duty to assess people's affordability of a rent as well. So again, you know, they can be in a position where social housing isn't affordable if, you know, for whatever reason they're not earning enough. And we know from our food banks that it's not just people on benefits who are being impacted. We have working families with two parents working who are coming to the food banks. So, you know, it's across the board, people can be in very vulnerable positions. No direct answer to your question there. I'm not a politician, but there isn't known how many hidden homeless. That's the sofa surfers, you know, young people who are moving from friend to friend, or even older people who are moving, people whose relationships have broken down, they're staying with relatives, and eventually that, you know, can be tricky. The reasons for homelessness occurring, from what I remember from the last report we had through the local authority, it's usually end of a short haul tenancy was the main reason, although we did have a quarter where it was relationship breakdown that was beginning to come to the fore, and it felt like that may be where families and supporters are just running out of either capacity financially or whatever to support their friends and relatives who they were trying to keep off the streets. So can't answer your question, and I'm not sure we ever shall.
Thank you. Yes, I was asked, I was plugging this on BBC Radio Hereford and Worcester, and they asked, you know, do we think we'll always have homelessness as well? Which is, again, it's a really difficult question, because people can, as Chrissy says, suddenly find themselves homeless. And we see it all the time in the night shelter. It's getting that provision as quickly as possible so the support can get to them.
Alicia Lawrence from SHIP. We're a supported housing provider for young people, and I just thought it would be useful to fill you in on what we're doing in the county for young people. We work with 16 to 25-year-olds, and we provide accommodation and also support to young people who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. We've got 48 bed spaces across the county, and they're in a mix of provision of foyers, which are shared accommodation, where there's some shared facilities, and young people will have a room, and there's support provided through staff. It's semi-independent living, and the idea is that we're working with young people to get them to the point of independence. We also provide some move-on properties, and we provide some properties particularly for care leavers, and we're across the county. We also have a duty crisis service which operates from our office in Barrington Street, and that's a drop-in service for anyone who's facing risk of homelessness or finding themselves homeless, and we can provide them with advice and support and give them they'll start looking at how they can access our accommodation. It's for any 16 to 25-year-olds who find themselves at risk of homelessness. And we also provide floating support across the county, where our staff members will work one-to-one with young people looking at their housing needs and supporting them with that. So there's some of the things that SHIP are doing. We're partly funded, a very small part of our service now is funded through the local authority, but we also rely heavily on fundraising to enable us to continue with our service across the county.
I'm Peter, and I'm a volunteer at Open Door, which is one of the hot food networks. Can I just make a plea for communication? The council tweeted their version of the hot food network, and it was wrong. It was out of date. And the fact that there are some fantastic new groups around, new groups with great energy who have popped up, and if they don't know what's going on in the rest of Hereford, then that will lead to greater splintering and less coordination and less efficiency. So the more, I completely understand about not wanting to promote the coordination, but there must be better communication, I would say.
Thank you, yes, and that is exactly why we called this today. Yes.
Thank you. Margaret Lansford from the All Saints Church. We have a list in church of people who do provide breakfasts and lunches, packed lunches, and as you say, it might not be up to date. I've got one here, and I believe it's on the website now for the diocese. If you scroll down, you get the emergency support that's there. But I personally would like someone to talk through the week of what's provided, so we know where we are today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm relatively new to Hereford. I've been here 7-8 months, and your point about communication is spot on. I have spent the last 8 months in the city coming alongside vulnerable people, particularly in the city centre parish. And what I have found is a city that is brimful of love. And I keep discovering organisations like SHIP that are doing amazing things with people because they love people and they want to make things better. And then you discover another group, and you discover another group, and you discover another group, and there's this wonderful patchwork of love that is there in the city. But it's really difficult to find sometimes. And it's really difficult when you need a little bit of that patch to be able to know that it's there. And it's taken me the better part of 8 months to kind of understand that there is a patchwork quilt there that can be pulled over people to protect and love them. And I raised this at the Homeless Forum on Tuesday, and what came out of that meeting was that perhaps it would be useful for a group of us to get together and pull together the threads of those different, I may be stretching my analogy a little far now, but if we can pull together the threads of that patchwork quilt into one place so that everybody can share their most up-to-date information when they are doing hot meals, so there is one place that people can go and know that they're going to get the very latest information. What can a member of the public do when they walk past somebody in the street and they want to do something and they're not quite sure what it is they want to do, but they want to do something? What happens when they Google homeless support in Hereford? What happens when they look on Facebook? What happens when they look on Twitter, which is, of course, predominantly the way in which information is shared now? And so we're setting up a small working group to, as quickly as possible, attempt to pull some of those threads together. So I have 2 things to ask, really. The first is, if you are a provider of support for vulnerable and homeless people in Hereford, would you please shout as this is kind of coming together and let me know what you do so we can pull some of that together. But secondly, if you are as exercised as I am about the amazing stuff that goes on in Hereford and you want people to be able to engage with that and and grow that and make it even better, then also please come and grab me, because if we can have some more people involved in that, then we can amplify that further. There is no shortage of love and want to solve and engage with this problem in Hereford, but there is a difficulty in discovering that. And so if you would be happy to work with me on trying to do that, please grab me at the end of the meeting, and we'll share details, and we'll try and get that set up, because it is deeply unfair when I hear criticism of different services in the city not doing what they should be doing. And in many cases, it's not that at all. It's just that people don't understand what is already going on or what's about to go on, and people aren't engaged with that. So let's engage with that communication, and let's share what is going on. Is that fair?
You know, we've got to have a constant message from everybody who's working with this same group of people as to what is going on, what's okay, what's not okay as well. Because I've been chatting to Mike a lot since I got here, really, and you know, we need our businesses in this city to thrive. We need that. If we don't, we're all going to be starting to suffer as a result. So it's got to be something that works for everybody. And that's part of this process as well, is making sure that everyone has what they need in our city.
Meals at St Martin's, we provide meals for people on a Monday, but I also help out at the night shelter, and I think we've had over 30 separate individuals staying at the night shelter during the winter period. So there may be a hard call, but there are people that are coming in and out of homelessness, and I think not all homeless have actually been coming to the night shelter.
Thank you. Mike.
Mike Open Door. We're one of the food providers, and we've been going for more years than I can remember. And the numbers are growing. But my concern is that over the past few years, there have been several deaths. Some died on the streets, some or in temporary accommodation, or some sofa surfing. And it can't go on. I mean, they're in chapel comes in the night shelter, and if a couple of his friends from the night shelter haven't gone and found him, he would have frozen to death this last winter. And he's a gentleman of 75. But age doesn't matter. We have to look out for these people when they're very, very vulnerable. And it's all right feeding them, clothing them, but what are we doing about accommodating them?
Thanks, Mike. I think one of the interesting things I've seen from kind of going around different things that are happening is one of the things that we need to be very clear about is exactly who we're helping in these provisions. Because I've witnessed a kind of mix of people who come along and they're not all homeless, or they're not all struggling financially. Some may be lonely or isolated, or and I think that kind of ties in maybe a little bit with what Mike's saying. We've just got to be a little bit careful about perception.
I just wanted to pick up on that affordable housing and suitable housing for people to move into, and that is, it's a huge national problem, but it's also local to Herefordshire as well, you know, linked in with the average reasonably low wage here and the cost of housing. But I wanted to link it in with the homeless bit, in that the model of best practice that is out there at the moment for supporting people from homelessness out of that situation is something called Housing First. And that's about moving people into homes first before you try and work with them around the issues that perhaps have kept them homeless or took them into homelessness. So some people have addictions, and they might have had addictions before they became homeless, but sometimes it's as a result of being homeless, and it's, if you like, a self-medication and a way of coping with the horrible lifestyle. And they become used to that lifestyle, and they become used to the people that they hang out with and are with. So that makes it a good one, that they get used to. That is their community, if you like. So Housing First model would be an excellent sort of way we could go in Herefordshire. but it does require that availability of suitable housing. And I know that's something both the council and the voluntary sector are working together on. Housing doesn't come quickly and doesn't come cheaply, does it? So, these things take time, but it is something that I know that that's what we want to aim at, trying to house people first and then wrap around the care and the support. And it needs to be relational care, so it needs to be getting to know people, drawing alongside them, walking that journey as they try and address all those difficult things that have happened and they get back on their feet. So that's what we would be aiming for as a really good model of practice. And I know we've discussed that in the forum and it's come up before. So I put it out there, if you've got affordable homes that people could move into, or of decent landlords who would allow that, or other connections, let us know and we'll put you in touch with the right people.
My name is Paul, I help with the night shelter and other things. One thing that's come to my attention is, on a Sunday lunchtime here, we usually have between 30 and 40 people who come for soup and sandwiches. Some of them are homeless, some of them are insecure accommodation which is sort of temporary. Some people are sleeping on the mate's couch or on the floor, and it's a constant sort of ferment that is going on with these people. It's insecure accommodation. The second thing I'd like to say is a couple of weeks ago a bloke came in who is in accommodation provided by a private landlord, and he showed me some photographs of his accommodation, and one of the things that stood out was the black mould on the walls. And he was telling me he spends his time painting it with methylated spirits or bleach to try and keep it at bay. So there are some private landlords who are making a lot of money out of people who have got very little. I have actually written to whoever I was supposed to write to about it, but I didn't make... Is this working?
It keeps cutting out, doesn't it? Yeah. Flick it off the mic.
Yeah, I didn't get far. A long letter came back with a lot of stuff in which didn't really answer the question. But the standard of accommodation is absolutely crucial. People can get ripped off with private landlords providing accommodation that's not suitable. And it seems to me that the legislation that could stop them doing that is difficult. The first thing that has to happen is the individual who is in a bad place has got to complain of the landlord. So what happens then is they usually get kicked out. And that is not a good state of affairs.
That if we've said we can help with something, whether it's us at St. Peter's, whether it's the council, whoever it is, that happens. Because it's incredibly damaging if they actually get to that point and then it doesn't happen. It makes it even harder the next time we try and help them. And I think, I know Matthew Mack is one of them as well.
She literally had nothing. She was put in, these 4 walls, which was great that she had accommodation, but there was absolutely nothing in it. So now she has a bed, she has a kettle, a toaster, etc. Just from donations from people. We've helped to help health and wellbeing days with haircuts, chiropodists, little massage, all the kind of little showers, hot showers, clean clothes, where they could come and we had a little shop so they could just come and help themselves to whatever they wanted, hot food. I agree with the communication side of it. It's very difficult to find out who's doing what, but also communication for them. Because we speak to them on a regular basis themselves, and because we're not a charity or we're not the council, I think maybe they open up to us a little bit, and they say it's very difficult for them to find out. They get pushed from pillar to post. There doesn't seem to be anywhere that they can get everything all in one place. And the one thing that's been highlighted is the day centre. In the winter, they were absolutely freezing outside in the day. We did hold a couple of days where they could come inside, and there used to be a day centre I believe, near the police station. And that closed due to funds, I think. And that's something that they really need in the winter months, especially because it's so cold. Just one last thing I'd like to share with you. A young man that we've been helping started work today with accommodation. So, yeah, he had his interview yesterday, got the job, and he starts today. That's just from friendship group sharing.
As you can tell, we've been piloting a new service. It's with 7 other organisations across the country, and it's a different way of working with people, which is much the reason why I think your group has had such success, because they meet people where they want to meet, in places of purpose. They don't ask them to come into offices, they don't sit down with them and make them do laborious forms that are about 10 forms long and ask them if they know how to manage their money. This person could have previously been an accountant. We, as organisations, we have boxes to tick, we have outcomes to fulfil, and that's always been a way, and it always will be the way, but we still need to get back from that and get back in touch with the real people. For that, we need the support of everybody in Herefordshire. We need the support of businesses to give people opportunities and chances, even if it's just a day, for somebody to get off the street and have an experience. I had a great guy who called me recently who wanted to help with the homelessness. He is an upholsterer, and he said, I just someone to come for a day, just to get him off the street and do something positive and practical to build that self-esteem in people. Because people that have entrenched homelessness, that have been for a long time, that guy that's 75 years of age, he may get an accommodation, but when you're there and you're on your own, you're isolated and you have nobody else in this world, is that where you want to be? You might want to be out with these people sat around a fireplace with a tent, just to have that connection with people. So I think, as a gentleman said earlier, and sorry I've forgotten your name, but if...
Sorry about this, yeah.
I've forgotten your name. But if people want to help, to come and offer those real relationships with people that haven't got people in their lives, they haven't got family around them, they haven't got all these people that are looking out for them. If it just means half an hour of your time in your day to have a cup of coffee and talk to somebody about football, if that's what they like, or to make that person feel human again, because that's what these people are doing, and that's why they've got the people engaging with them that haven't been engaging with other services. So contact a company like SHIP, Venture, the church, Homeless Winter Support, but we really will be working on how we can more work together, share the skills, share training, share the experience and of everybody within this city, so how we can help more. So I'd urge businesses out there, if you'd like to help, offer people opportunities, offer them work experience, offer something. Thank you.
Been involved in working with the homeless for about 9 years now in various different ways. One of the concerns I have is when people are moved into accommodation, we've helped people move into places in the past, and there's nothing quite like moving into a bare flat with no carpet, no furniture. There used to be a place that helped with furniture, but that's gone now. I think with the Housing First, I think it's a fantastic idea, and I thoroughly support it. Is there going to be any backup for, it's all very well moving people into somewhere, but if they're going to sleep on, it's actually equipping them to have a good chance of staying in the flat, not just on a financial basis, but actually living standard.
Yes.
Stephen Kelly, I'm the Department of the City Council. We don't have any statutory responsibility for homelessness or adult social care. That all sits with Herefordshire Council. What we do have is a grants budget which is available on application. And I was listening to what Rob was saying about generating meaningful activity for people as a way of helping them settle once they have been found somewhere to live. And if there are groups who are trying to put programs on that might be educational or social or recreational, and you need start-up funding, then have a look at the City Council website. We do grants and we do small start-up grants to get things moving. And we have helped an awful lot of groups by being the first people to give a grant, because you then use that as evidence of local support and lever in much bigger money from people with a lot more money for quite a few projects that we were the first people to grant aid that have got going through that.
Thank you. I think that seems like a really good kind of place to end, really, I think. So, as Chrissy said, the Homelessness Forum already looking at setting up some working groups, one being around communication, to do, going to speak to Matthew, another being around housing first as well, and what we hope is, we'll continue to kind of push this and encourage greater collaboration with each other to pool our resources and to try and make a difference for their lives. Because, as Chrissy pointed out, it could easily be one of us one day. So thank you all for coming. I hope it was helpful and useful. You look like you're at it. Oh, okay, exciting. I'll hand over to Matthew and then we'll finish.
I think we ought to finish, really, and wrap everything up with something that we don't hear very often, and that's thank you. Thank you for every single person that's come to this meeting today because they care. Thank you to every single person that is out every day talking to people. Thank you to every single person who sits in an office and does thankless jobs and gets criticised for it. Thank you, all of you, for caring and doing what you can do in some small way to make people's lives better. Thank you. And say thank you to one another as well, because I sometimes think this is the greatest armchair sport there is. Oh, I wouldn't do it like that. I'd have done it like that, and why isn't there this, and why isn't there that? And you know what? It's not. It's people's lives. And so say thank you to one another today. Use this opportunity to see those people who are sat around you that in some other way help people and say thank you. And I think that's the best way to finish this meeting.
I'm Mel Groves and I work for SHIP, which is Supported Housing for Young People. It's a project and we're based across the whole of Herefordshire, and we work with 16 to 25-year-old young people that are either at risk of homelessness, are homeless or leaving care, or whatever life situations that put them in difficult times, really. We've got 42-bed units across Herefordshire. We do some outreach work, we do some night stop, and we do a project with Children's Services as well.
You were saying in the meeting that one of the important things, which I actually agree with you, was that contact and making people feel human and valued rather than shoved aside as...
Yes, well, something I've been working on and piloting at the moment with 7 different organisations throughout the country, led by Mayday Trust, part of Changing Lives, and some very big organisations that live in some very city areas. And we're doing something that's called the Personal Transition Service, so PTS for short, and it's an asset-based approach with people. It's meeting with people on their level, more personal relationships, the relationships with people about what they want, not what we want as an organisation and an agency or a local authority. It's about what they want, what they think that they need help with. I'm not sitting down asking somebody information about their drinking habits or their sexual health or something because they want help with homelessness or help with somewhere to live. That isn't apparent or relevant to what they're going through. It's about what they want to talk about. So having relationships where you meet where they want to meet, so it might be out, it's not in normal offices, it's in a coffee shop. You engage with a person on a normal level and talk about what they like and what's in their life. So, they might be into football, so you have conversations about football. They might be into music, so you have conversations about that. Getting that person to have real life connections and conversations again. Some people who've entrenched homelessness and been for many years, they haven't got that support network around them. They haven't got those people, that family, those friends. So even when they do get accommodation, they feel so isolated that the cycle continues again. So unless we start to broker opportunities within the community for them, get them positive activities, to help them to get positive activities that they want to do and experiences that will encourage and develop and help them to sustain a tenancy or an accommodation when they do get it. It's one small step at a time, as people are talking about housing first, yes, but unless it's all done together, then it won't work for some people because they just become back again, and they're felt that they're let down by a system because of loneliness. It's a huge thing in our country anyway. So for people that are homeless, then it's massive.
My name is Father Matthew Cashmore. I am the Assistant Curate in the West Hereford team, which is All Saints, St Nicholas on the Bridge, Holy Trinity out on Whitecross Road and St Michael's out in Brainton. And I've been at the public meeting today talking about how we can help homeless and vulnerable people in Hereford, and I've been really encouraged and enthused by the depth of love, the fact that people want to help, want to solve this in a way that they can, but also understand that that's a very complex thing, and it's not going to be solved, to use that language, by one particular golden bullet. It's going to take interaction, and really I don't like the terminology of solving the homeless problem. I think it's unhelpful language. What we have are people who are vulnerable and need support, and that support is multifaceted and very complex. And so being where people are, which is some of the language that we've heard today, going out and being with them, and being with people and talking to people and praying with people is vital to understanding what it is that we can do to support and help where we can.